Hi everyone, welcome to my video. In this video, this is my first video where I'm talking about reflections of lessons that I learned last week. And last week there's two really big lessons that I learned in my training that I feel are really going to help me in the future. The first one was around dealing with my lower back pain. I've suffered from chronic lower back pain for a very long time. I fractured my spine when I was in the army, and it causes me grief all the time. And so what I've done is I've come up with a routine that I do every day now that's very specific to my issues. So I have an anterior pelvic tilt. If you don't know what that is, you can Google it. And these exercises here, first I released my glutes with that hockey ball that you saw me just before. And now I'm doing hip thrust, where I'm trying to specifically tense my abs and tense my glutes at the same time at the top to create a posterior pelvic tilt. So I'm using a relatively light weight so I can really get a posterior pelvic tilt at the top. Then I'm going straight into this stretch here. This is a stretch that I use for my lower back. You'll feel it in different places depending on where you're tight. But for me, I'm really restricted in my lumbar extensors are really tight. So when I do this, I get a great stretch through my lumbar extensors. And so then I go into an abdominal exercise. So now I'm trying to create strength in the abdominal muscles, which are another part of controlling a posterior pelvic tilt to fix an anterior pelvic tilt. And then in a minute, I'm about to go into a hip flexor mobility routine. And so what I'm basically doing here is I've created this routine based on strengthening the muscles that are going to pull my pelvis into into a posterior pelvic tilt, and also stretching the muscles that when are tight cause that anterior pelvic tilt. This is also for the glutes here. I'm doing this on a second day during the week just to help strengthen the glutes. And before I get into the handstands, because they're a bit of footage here, I basically, the big lesson that I learned is just how much you can really change your body when you obsess over something. And I just hadn't gone the extra mile with that stuff. I train for about 3 or 4 hours every day, but I'm always trying to work on things like handstands and one-arm pull-ups or whatever the latest skill that I'm trying to develop is, rather than just really focusing on what my body needs and what it really needs to get better. And the lesson that I learned from this week is just how much you can change problems that you thought were stuck in your body by becoming obsessive over it. So that routine that you saw me do just then, I was doing that. I did that 5 days a week last week. I did it every morning for half an hour. I get to the gym at 5:20, so I was doing it from 5:30 to 6 before we open. And in 1 week, I feel a massive reduction in my lower back pain, and also I can see an improvement in my posture. So my anterior pelvic tilt isn't so pronounced. So I've taken it upon myself. I'm going to do a 6-month project here. I'm going to do it 5 days a week for 6 months and see what I can change in my body. So that's my first lesson. My first lesson was that I can fix problems that I thought were never going to go away by really focusing on them and putting an excessive amount of work into them. And the next lesson that I really learned was around the handstand. You can see in these videos here, I'm starting to consistently get some relatively decent holds, 10 to 30 seconds. And I was just doing a little bit of a pancake between my sets. This is actually a warm-up set, so I'm not very flexible in this one. I'm not going very far. But the lessons that I had around the handstand, the big aha moments that I had, was around controlling my palms and learning how to, when I overcompensated, so if I was falling in one direction, learning how to use those lessons that we learn with our handstands of how to either push through the fingers or the first knuckles, or push through the heel of the palm, depending on if you're falling forward over your head or backward over your face. That when I push with my fingers or the heel of my palm, that I try to only move my toes, my feet, and that my hips and shoulders still stay stacked over my hands at all times. And although I don't do that perfectly every time, just by having that awareness, it made a massive difference for my handstand. And I am starting to get much more consistent 10 to 30 second holds, and I can feel that I'm going to make some really big progress over the coming months. You can see there's my son Keanu coming over to say hi during my training session. It's always great having him at the gym with me. But yeah, those are my two big lessons. So I hope you guys got something out of it. If you've got any questions, please feel free to comment. And thanks, of course, for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to start doing these weekly lessons every week because it's a really good reflection for me. It makes me really think about and analyze what I learned in a week. And there's a lot of people that send me direct messages and emails asking me for tips. So I think this is a good way that I can share my lessons to more people. I hope you got something out of it, and look forward to seeing you guys next time. Have a great day.